Greetings, my fellow freedom love sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Monday, March 30th, 2026. This is episode 1954. West Virginia governor clashes with education officials over religious exemptions. Before I proceed, you can follow me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Looky Luck number 3, Looky Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes with a Looky Luck Roman number 3 podcast. Furthermore, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use Decorum. Hit me via email to paypal.me or cash.app / Looky Luck number 3. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not going to go too crazy on a few things, just typical as usual. All these I love it when sports experts talked about, coaches choking, all that. And I can see them apply for that job. These rhetoricians, these color commentaries, even people on TikTok and Instagram, etc. I do find it very entertaining, by the way. So it's like politics as well, right? They all believe they all have the answers. But they were to tell people how to live and think. They can't even take care of their own affairs. So I was watching one video clip of a gentleman, the armed fisherman, walking around with his AR-15. They call it an assault weapon by lamestream garbage media. And some folks are wigging out. I remember him doing it when he was going fishing. And they gave him a lot of crap. A lot of the police officers within the state of Florida, multiple municipalities and so forth, especially in Miami Beach. That's why I call that city the Declaration of Rights Free Zone. And don't get me wrong, you got a bunch of goofballs in there, can't even wipe their own butts, but they believe they can tell everyone what to do, how to live, and they complain, they assume they're not more than entitlements. They're nothing but piss ants. Servants. Just call them servants, not officials. Okay, so elected servants. They get offended by it, good, they can leave. Oh, man. But, what can we say, right? All right, well, without further ado, I'm going to be reading this article that came from The Defender, which is childhealthdefense.org. Appreciate their input here. Says here, West Virginia governor clashes with education officials over religious exemptions. West Virginia officials asked the state Supreme Court to overturn a ruling allowing religious exemptions from school vaccine mandates. Attorneys for the state's boards of education said the ruling puts public health at risk. Governor Patrick Measles said he was disappointed the board chose to challenge the decision rather than stand up for the religious freedoms of our students and families. This is written by Jill Erzin. As it reads here, attorney for the West Virginia Board of Education are asking the state Supreme Court to overturn a ruling that opened the door to religious and philosophical exemptions from school vaccine requirements. West Virginia Watch reported. Governor Patrick Measles said in a statement to The Defender that he was disappointed the board chose to challenge the decision rather than stand for the religious freedoms of our students and families. Its brief filed Thursday with the Supreme Court of Appeals of West Virginia, attorneys argued the lower court didn't just misinterpret the state's law, but rewrote it. The vaccine law works, attorneys wrote, pointing to the state's high immunization rates and low levels of vaccine-preventable disease. The legislature has repeatedly considered adding religious exemptions to the vaccine law. It hasn't. Attorneys framed the case around the real-world consequences. They cited recent measles outbreaks in multiple states and warned that loosening West Virginia's long-standing vaccine rules could invite similar problems. A disease once deemed eliminated in the United States has reawakened, they wrote, while they acknowledged that measles hasn't taken hold in West Virginia. This case threatens to change that, they say. Governor calls for clear, permanent protections for families. The appeal stems from a November 2025 ruling by a Raleigh County Circuit judge who said the state's refusal to allow religious exemptions violate West Virginia's Equal Protection for Religious Act of 2023. The ruling meant schools could no longer enforce policies that bar unvaccinated children from attending classes or activities. However, the state Supreme Court pulled that decision on hold in December 2025 and agreed to fast-track its review at the Board of Education's request. Berzesi said children should not be kept out of school over vaccine objections. Students will not be denied access to public education because of their religious objections to compulsory vaccinations, he said. Berzesi also called on state and local education officials to work with public health leaders to ensure those rights are respected. While the case moves forward, he urged lawmakers to pass clear permanent protections for families across West Virginia. Religious freedoms does not include liberty to expose the community to disease. In their new filing, Board of Education attorneys argue the judge got the law and the facts wrong. The circuit court rewrote the vaccine law and added the religious exemptions the legislature rejected, the attorneys wrote. The circuit court erred by expanding EPRA or EPRA. The state law allows one exception, a medical exemption, and anything beyond that crosses a line, they wrote. They also pushed back on how the lower court interpreted the religious freedom law. ERP does not override every other statute. It applies only when there's a direct conflict, they say. The vaccine law does not conflict with EPRA, thus it is unaffected. A 51-page brief repeatedly returns to a core argument. Vaccine mandates exist to protect the broader public, not just individual families. Quoting a 1944 Supreme Court decision, attorneys stressed that religious freedom has limits with public health and is at stake. The right to practice religion freely does not include liberty to expose the community or the child to communicable disease, they wrote. They also argued the lower court misunderstood how public education works, denying school access based on vaccination status is not withholding a government benefit, but enforcing conditions meant to protect all students, they say. Attorneys target testimony from known anti-vaccination advocate. The filing also challenges the evidence behind the November ruling. Attorneys said the judge improperly relied on testimony from a known anti-vaccination advocate while discounting mainstream public health experts. The decision skewed the outcome and should be corrected on appeal, they wrote. They also claim the circuit court overstepped by turning the case into a statewide class action and questioned whether it had the authority to do so. The case is part of the broader clash in West Virginia over vaccine policy. State law has long required students to be vaccinated against chickenpox, hepatitis B, measles, mumps, diphtheria, polio, rubella, tetanus, and pertussis, or whooping cough, before attending school, allowing exemptions only for medical reasons. West Virginia is one of small number of states that do not permit religious exemptions or philosophical opt-outs. The stance came under pressure in 2025 when Berzesi issued an executive order directing health officials to allow religious exemptions. State education officials pushed back, telling schools to continue following existing laws. They set up the conflict now before the court. The current case stemmed from a lawsuit filed by two Raleigh County families who said their children should not be allowed to attend school without meeting vaccine requirements due to religious exemptions. The case now moves toward on a previous set schedule. According to Virginia Watch, under an earlier order from the Supreme Court. The families challenging the law have until May 11th to file their response. The Board of Education has until June 1st to submit a reply. After that, the court can rule on the filings or schedule an oral argument before issuing a decision. Very interesting indeed. So, something you can always look at, right? But one of the areas I always tell people, always look at the West Virginia Constitution in the Section 3 Bill of Rights. And I'll just read Section 1. All men by nature are equally free and independent, have certain inherent rights, of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot by any compact deprive or divest their posterity, and namely, the enjoyment of life and liberty with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing obtaining happiness and safety. So that's one of the merits they can use against the Board of Education. All right. And even if you look, even you have one here on religious freedom, which is under section, hold on, I'm just like browsing through here. Section, I think it's section 13, I think. Nope, sorry. Section 15, religious freedom guaranteed. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I will put the link on here as well. And we can always look at section 20, preservation of free government. Free government and the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people only by firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by the frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. So you can use that also on Section 20 of the Bill of Rights. So this is going to be more of a big Bill of Rights challenge on the state level. And always, like, don't get me wrong, we even put myself been vaccinated and all that, okay? And fortunately for me, when I had measles, it only affected my legs. Even though I took the measles vaccine, I still got measles in my legs. That was like in the 70s, so to tell you how old I am. But even though I took the German measles vaccine, I never got German measles. So everyone is different. But one thing I always tell people, make sure your children teach your children to be on health vigilance. And what I'm going to be doing, there's some holistic perspectives on this. One article here from Dr. Green Mom. I'm not going to be reading this, but it tells you certain things you can use to treat measles, and it's pretty cool information. And I'm going to do another one here, onlymyhealth.com. Suffering from measles, home remedies that can help. And there's a good thing on the table of contents. 2 little holy basil tea. You can apply mint paste, turmeric milk, neem water gargle, honey and ginger. Avoid spicy foods, okay, coconut water, Typhor for eye care, etc. But I'll give you a whole rundown on that. But one thing I always tell people, every infection has an Achilles heel. So you guys always believe in that. And sometimes the vaccine is not going to guarantee anything. And now what gets me the most, they want to have people take so many vaccines at one time, which that can jeopardize the infant and young child's immune system. There's a lot of reports on that. Even my mom and my stepfather was like freaking out, like, what the hell are they trying to make these young people into lab rats? So we have to look at that angle, and I guess in due time, expect more homeschools to be expanding in the Mountain State if this doesn't favor the families from Raleigh County. And always say this, our natural rights supersede state policy. So that's how I look at it. So I'm not going to tell people what to do with their children, but always get all the facts. Now you got technology. Utilize it, including the people in West Virginia. I know that all of you folks here, you're not a bunch of dumb hillbillies, all right? So I can be very sincere. But people got to learn natural remedies, because here's one thing I always tell people. If society collapses, if things occur, how you gonna get the vaccine, right? So always do your homework in these areas. And I encourage everyone to do the same. It doesn't matter if your parents are not. So that's what the information war is all about. So that will be it on this commentary. I'd like to thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, all that good stuff, whatever you do, please use decorum. Hit me via email to ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/3. If you want to support children'shealthdefense.org, donation, subscribe. That's great. And, share the input. That's all. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.